I was on NBC News this past week, and I just wanted to tell you the whole story of how it all happened. The story actually starts over a year ago when I was just kind of getting into the whole work from Disney thing, where I was getting a hotel near Disney World. I was working there for the week, and then in the evening, I was going to the parks and enjoying them. At the time, I was also just getting started as a creator. I was making videos in the parks, mostly for TikTok, Instagram Reels, and YouTube Shorts, so all short vertical videos. I decided to make a video about that whole work from Disney thing. Take a look. I'm a remote worker, and here's how I arrange my Disney World travel around my full-time job. A few times a year, I spend a couple weeks at Walt Disney World. I work during the day, and then I use my annual pass to go to the parks in the evenings and on the weekends. I'm lucky that I can make this work because it's such a great way to balance a full-time career while still having tons of fun. I fly from Cleveland to Orlando on a Saturday morning. I rent a car and then usually stay at a place like the Sheraton Vistana Resort, which operates like a hotel but has apartment-style housing complete with a full kitchen and in-unit laundry. It usually costs less than a Disney World Value Resort, and it's only a 10-minute drive from Walt Disney World. I also use a service called Owner's Locker, which lets me store a bunch of my essentials down in Orlando. They give you a bin and they'll deliver it and pick it up from your hotel for a flat yearly fee of $190, but there are cheaper plans available. Since I store some of my clothing and toiletries in there, I can often make these trips from Cleveland with just my backpack. Typically, I work from my hotel room, but if I need a change of scenery, there are a few spots at Disney World which are great for remote working, like the lobby of the Wilderness Lodge. I'm able to shift my hours earlier so that I can hit the parks in the afternoon after I've wrapped up my work for the day. When I go to the parks, I often go for dinner, and I record all these videos that you've seen me posting. Have any of you ever worked remotely from Disney World? I'd love to hear what tips you've got. So that video went completely viral across all platforms. And I've had videos go viral before, but it's been very hit or miss as to whether it's on all platforms or whatever. So I knew that this video had something to it. There was something compelling about it, and people were watching it. Now, over the course of the last year, I've heard of tons of people who first found me through that video. That's how they started following me, and some have even started to do their own work from Disney thing as well. Now, I don't claim to be the originator of the idea of work from Disney. I know lots of people have been doing it for years, but there was something about the video that I made that just sort of got a lot of attention. About 2 weeks ago, someone sent me a message which was a link to an article all about work from Disney, and that video was embedded towards the bottom of it. The article was interesting. It didn't mention me at all, but it did have my video right there. So I got in touch with the article's author just to say, hey, if you ever want to talk to someone about it, you're doing any follow-ups, I'm available. And then earlier this week, I got a couple emails from people at NBC News who were saying they were ready to do an actual television piece about work from Disney, and was I willing to talk about it on camera? At this point, I wasn't sure. I was a little nervous about doing it because work from Disney can be seen as a bit controversial. On one hand, not everyone is lucky enough to have a job which lets them do this. And on the other hand, you might have employers who are a bit skeptical of letting their own employees do this because they may see this as a bit of a slippery slope. But I decided to do the interview, and then we connected on Zoom when my workday was over. The interview was really quick, maybe 20 minutes or so. It was over before I knew it, and it was pretty easy. At that time, I kind of got a sense that they really wanted to make a strong connection about working and being in Disney and bringing them really, really close together. And I could tell they were really interested in this idea of actually working within, say, Magic Kingdom or Epcot, which is actually something I've never really done. I think I've taken one work call at a Disney park once, and that was at Disneyland many years ago when I was actually off for the day and I needed to jump on a call because of an emergency. So the questions they were asking definitely were favoring the sort of like juxtaposition of work within Magic Kingdom. As much as I talked about how it's really not like that, they kept coming back to that. I made it super clear in all of my responses that in order to be successful at doing this, you have to make a delineation between work and fun when you're doing this. In the end, I was super happy with how the interview went, but I was also still nervous about how I would come off looking. The next day, the piece aired on NBC News Now. Let's watch it together, and I'll kind of pause it while we talk about it.
It's called the happiest place on earth, but now some remote workers...
Okay, I'm stopping it already. They're showing Disney World and they're calling it the happiest place on earth. True fans know that Disney World is the most magical place on earth and Disneyland is the happiest place on earth. But these are the kinds of details I don't expect journalists to get right. These are super fan details.
are turning Disney World into their office.
I'm a remote worker, and here's how I arrange my Disney World travel around my full-time job. First time seeing myself right at the beginning of the piece and hearing my voice on... was astounding. I couldn't believe I was right at the beginning.
The trend exploding on social media in the post-pandemic world. Everyone from freelance journalists to lawyers sharing where inside the park they can plug in and get to work while also mixing in some time to visit Cinderella's castle.
Okay, so again, there's that thing where the picture they're painting is really about working really within the parks, which is not something I've ever done.
I'm able to shift my hours earlier so that I can hit the parks in the afternoon after I've wrapped up my work for the day.
Matt Richardson has been working remotely from Disney for 2 years now.
It is so funny to see myself on television like this. I sent them the video file so that they could use it. I told them they could use it. And it's funny to hear them say, Matt Richardson has been working from Disney for 2 years now. It almost makes it seem like I'm there all the time and I'm working within Disney for 2 years. That's not at all what it's like for me. I'll go down for a couple weeks at a time, maybe every couple months or something, or here and there. Right now, I'm in Cleveland. And in fact, the interview you're about to see is me from this very, very chair.
What's important to my employer is that I get my work done, and that's my first priority, no matter where I am in the world.
I was so glad that that was the first words out of my mouth when you see me on camera during the interview, because that is really the most important thing here, is that work comes first when it comes to work from Disney.
He lives about 1,000 miles away from Orlando, but realized he could still enjoy his favorite parks and create digital content while also maintaining a job at his tech company.
I wanted to take a trip down to Disney as things were coming back, and I kept working. I opened up my laptop, I kept the emails going, and it made me realize that I don't necessarily have to be in my home in Ohio to get work done.
And there's a whole system to it. On Disney blogs, you can find the best places to whip out that laptop and peruse some spreadsheets before hopping on Space Mountain.
Again, perusing spreadsheets before hopping on Space Mountain. They really want to make that connection. You do a little bit of work and you have a little bit of fun, but in my experience, that's not at all what work from Disney is like.
There are a few spots at Disney World which are great for remote working, like the lobby of the Wilderness Lodge.
Now, I would just keep in mind, you can't just drive up to the Wilderness Lodge and say, I'm working from Disney. You do have to have a legitimate reason to be there, whether it's a dining reservation or if you are at a park, you can take a bus to Wilderness Lodge.
And it's not just Disney World in Florida. California's Disneyland also getting in on the action.
I come to the parks to do that work. I live pretty close to Disneyland, and I have a Magic Key, which is like the annual pass here. I'm able to go pretty frequently, and I'll spend time during the day working as I need to.
So again, it looks like the same thing is true for Caleb. Caleb is a Disneyland local who does work during the day and then goes to Disneyland. And that's true for a lot of people out there who live local to the parks. That's just the way it is.
Caleb Graves is an attorney and makes the most of his daily downtime with some Disney distractions.
You can finish a meeting and then go watch some stormtroopers. Is that kind of what you get to do?
Yeah, that's definitely an option.
Again, they're painting that, do a little work, see some stormtroopers, do a little work, hop on Space Mountain. It's really it's sort of this picture they want to paint. And I understand, I think it's a compelling image to share, right? It may not be the exact truth, or maybe it's kind of the truth, but I think the most compelling image you can share is being on a conference call while you're on Thunder Mountain, right?
Hey, you're not authorized. But not everyone thinks you should be able to work from a galaxy far, far away.
Clever segue there. And of course, they have to switch to the sort of like the contra viewpoint here. So let's hear it.
Dr. Stefan Meyer with Columbia Business School supports remote work, but says workers should be careful not to take advantage of their employers.
What is kind of accepted, what is okay, remote work, what is just giving flexibility, and what is like slippery slope into we're not just taking more days off and phoning it in on a ride.
Again, there we go. Doing it on a ride, which is not at all what's going on here. So again, it's really easy to paint this picture that it's a slippery slope. I think something that's at play here is that for me personally, and I think also for Caleb, I don't want to speak for him, but I'm going to guess he would agree with me on this, is that we share our experiences, right? We upload our videos online. We kind of live a little louder than most people. But if you think about it, if you go to work and then you go to the gym, or you go to work and then you go to go for a swim, or you go to some social event, or you go, whatever you do, you have things that you do in your own free time when you're done work. The thing that we do in our free time is probably a little bit more fun and dazzling. It maybe is a little bit more interesting. It's a little bit more associated with being on vacation, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that way.
For Caleb and Matt, though, they're just hoping to add a little more magic to their workday.
It's a feeling of comfort, a little bit of nostalgia. There's great music. It's just a really happy, fun environment to be in.
And that was me responding to them saying what it makes me feel like to be in the park. So what you're getting there is a little bit more of a me and my general feeling about being in the parks, but not necessarily, this whole experience of work from Disney. So I just want to make that clear.
All right, Stephen Romo joins us now in studio. So, Stephen, are their bosses okay that they're working from places like Disney World and Disneyland?
Yeah, I actually asked them, do your employers even know that you're working from amusement parks?
Again, to be clear, we're not working from amusement parks. It is possible to do, but as I said in my interview, it's not practical to do it, at least for me.
They say their employers do know that they are, and they don't have a problem with it as long as they're getting their work done, which they both say they are.
So in that sense, it's true. My employer cares that I'm getting my job done, and I get it done. But to be clear, I'm not in Magic Kingdom getting my job done.
Okay, and then, Disney World, Disneyland, the parks, they're not necessarily cheap places. Do these people do all their lunch meetings there? I mean, are they eating and working strictly at the parks?
Yeah, I asked them about the cost situation, too. They say they do have these annual passes, which certainly offer discounts, and they don't eat every meal there because they're just sort of going to work and then going to meetings off sites. They do a lot back and forth since they do have these passes.
My response to that question was that when I'm working from Disney, I'm actually eating mostly groceries, and I might in the evening have a nice dinner at Disney World or maybe just a snack.
They also say that it brings them a lot of joy, and this is what they want to spend their money on. Instead of maybe other vacations, they want to go to Disney. And if they're getting their work done, they say there shouldn't be a problem.
Do the legal work, jump on Splash Mountain.
Yeah.
Again, there you go with the theme, that close association between doing a little bit of work and then jumping right on a ride.
It's a life, right?
Right, yeah.
We're not going to judge him. Don't judge him. All right. Stephen, thank you for being here.
I like that don't judge him moment at the end. That was good. But I think when the whole piece was over, I had a lot of mixed feelings about what I was seeing. I feel like I sounded okay. I think I said all the right things, but they still kept pushing the story back towards, work on a contract and then jump on Space Mountain, right? And they kept saying that, they kept coming back to that, even though I made it super clear that that's really not the way I work. I work at the hotel, I put in a full day, I shift my hours earlier. You saw it in my own video how I do it. And then I go to the parks in the afternoons, evenings, and on the weekends. But going into this, I knew I wasn't necessarily going to get a totally fair shake. They kind of want to paint a particular picture. They kind of want to present both sides. They kind of want to push back a little bit on you on everything. So that piece didn't originally air on NBC National. It was on NBC Now, the news streaming service. But I did hear a couple people who saw it. And the next day, I started getting lots of messages from people who were seeing it air during their local news. So their NBC affiliate aired it during their local news. So thanks to everyone who let me know that they saw it. I thought that was pretty cool. I heard from someone in Canada who even saw it on their non-NBC station. So maybe there's some sort of deal there. And then even a local news anchor got in touch with me because they saw it when they were anchoring the news and they thought it was so cool. They love Disney and they think it's so cool that someone can do that. So they sent me a message to say congratulations. So as I said, I had mixed feelings about the whole piece. I was sharing things all along the way with my subscribers on Instagram because it's a smaller group and they're very, very supportive of all the stuff I do and getting lots of positive feedback and encouragement from them. So about a day later, I shared it a little bit more widely and have gotten a great response. I do get a little hate coming my way, but I always do. Some people just don't like adults who are into Disney. There's nothing I can do about that. And as of today, I'm still getting messages from people who are seeing me on the news, which is pretty cool. So would I do it again? Absolutely. I think I need to make the bold choices in life. I need to do interesting things. I want to have fun. I'm not ashamed of that. I'm not ashamed of anything I do because I'm an honest person and I do the things that bring me joy and I love to share that joy. So I feel good about that, even though it makes me a little nervous being on the national stage talking about something that people are very, very critical of. Anyway, I hope you found my side of the story interesting. And if you're a subscriber, thank you. If you're not, I welcome you to subscribe. And I've got lots of shorts, lots of content all about travel and Disney parks and lifestyle. So I appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button. Thank you, and I'll catch you in the parks.